I guess it would be a little better if I was up here on the screen, huh? Well, anyway, greetings everyone, and welcome to another Wednesday night right here at the Sports Krib. Uh, Seems we have a little bug going around. Don is coming off a bout of pneumonia, and Dave had a little bug coming down today. So you might have to deal with me and Bo here for a little while. And hey, what better night to start it off? Bo, how you doing tonight?
Hey, how's it going, man? It's been a while.
Oh man, yes it has. But I have been keeping up with you and your other show. And hey, man, I got to admit, man, it's not only is it informative, but it is kind of interesting at times too. You guys seem to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, you must be talking about the morning show, our coast to coast.
Yeah.
That is always it's an entertaining show for sure.
Oh man, so yeah, I try to stream it whenever I can. But yeah, you guys are hilarious. I enjoy it very much.
I appreciate it. And you know, and I can relate to everybody getting sick. I'm coming off of it myself, so it man, annoying.
Well, knock on wood, one or the other, whatever counts. But yeah, so but the weather out here, down here in San Diego, is and everybody knows, and I brag about it. I mean, it's not that bad, So but hey, compared to the rest of the country, and I've been there, so I know. But how's the weather up your way, man? What kind of what was that hit you the other week?
Yeah, we had a cyclone. like what the hell was that? Yeah, it's been not bad. So the rain starts tomorrow, but I mean it's been a little bit colder. But I mean it's actually been pretty nice overall. So minus the cyclone coming through and stuff.
Hey, what the hell? We got earthquakes in New Jersey and cyclones in Seattle.
Right.
So,
that being said, I'm ready to come to Southern Cal and enjoy some sun for a minute. Even though it's been kind of sunny here, it's been 40.
Hey, I tell you what, I have a Saturday fantasy show. And it just so happens that the other guy that's involved is in Hawaii. The only other place that I could pick that had better weather than San Diego.
Right? That's awesome. Yeah, Hawaii be solid right now.
Yeah, but what's gas? $10 a gallon? I don't know. I mean,
the thing that's funny is you always hear about how expensive Hawaii is, except we live on the West Coast. So when you go, it's going to be the same stuff. Like the pricing really isn't any different. If you go out to dinner, it's $150. Gas is pretty comparable to what we do. If you drink milk, like that'll be more expensive. But outside of that, really, it's West Coast pricing. So every time I've gone, I have not had sticker shock. I've gone there and been like, oh, yeah. I mean, okay.
So, we don't usually talk a little baseball, but something happened that I just had to talk about. We all, we're talking about Ohtani's contract and generational wealth and how much it was. Well, here's a guy that decided, the Mets decided that he was worth 15 years, $765 million. That's three quarters. That's almost $1 billion, Bo.
Wild, right? Man.
Bo, and I was reading an article just before we came on the air, where one of the sticking points was he wanted a
Oh, the
suite.
sweet. Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Can you imagine losing that talent because you wouldn't give him a suite? Couldn't happen to a better team.
I mean, I'm a Yankees fan, and I mean, when I read the article, I'm like, really, a suite, but you're going to give him 3/4, I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean,
Well, I mean, the Yankees do have a weird stance on their suites, though, because they didn't give one to Judge, they didn't give one to Jeter, right? Um, they make those guys pay for the suite, like they make one available to them, right? But they make them pay for it, and so he wanted it for free, and for some reason that's a sticking point. I mean, I guess they have a precedent that they don't do it, but weird way to lose a talent that you were willing to pay for. Like, it'd be one thing if you're like, oh yeah, we weren't going to get there money wise either, but it was a difference of 5 million in 1 year. So, I mean, they were all the way there except for that one thing. It seems like they could have like hit it in the contract somehow.
yeah, I mean, hey, not that he couldn't afford it with 700. I mean, yeah,
Scraping by.
yeah, I mean, it's so looking ahead, and I'm kind of thinking of the way football is structured here. If one guy gets this, then the next guy gets that.
Yeah.
So, Bo, who's going to be our first $1 billion player?
I don't think he's here yet. I think they're still far enough away that that we haven't seen it yet. The player's probably not in the league yet. But the one thing that was really interesting with this Mets contract is, unlike the Dodgers, none of it's deferred. So that, in a way, is helpful if you think about it, because when you look at Ohtani's, when they really start paying him, his career is probably almost over, right? Like they're leveraging right now for rings, and I mean it worked, right? They got one, so I mean I can't hate on it too much. But with the Mets, it's not all backloaded, so they're going to start paying him today, which means when he starts to slide, they're still going to be able to be a competitive ball club. When you look at the Dodgers, they're 6 years away from being horrendous, like just terrible. Again, I'm a Mariners fan, so I'm here for all of that.
It's kind of an interesting season for you guys too. What are you looking to add next year?
Nothing, man. It's the Mariners. Like, what are we talking about? Like, there's a reason I made a hashtag for them, from hope to nope. Like they are just good enough to keep people in the stands and just miss the playoffs consistently, right? I mean, we got 23 years and one playoff appearance, and that was 2 years ago. Like our playoff drought was old enough to drink. Like, it could hang out and drink beer with you, drown your sorrows because you're never in the postseason. I did appreciate that the MLB started giving us our last regular season game in October, so we could just lie and say it hadn't been so long since we played in October. But yeah, I mean, we're not going to add anything. We never do. Basically, the way I look at the Mariners is we are the league's AAA team. We will cultivate talent, and then as soon as it becomes time to pay them, we ship them out, and they win a ring everywhere else they go.
that used to be one of the Guardians' tricks too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we've seen it out here. It's not just on the West Coast.
That is for sure. Yeah, no, there's a few teams that were really good at that.
Well, Bo, I'm going to start with some college football here, and
Oh
I'm
wait,
going
we gotta talk about the Golden Bat.
to. Oh yes, okay, okay.
We got to, because that is just so dumb. Like my black socks are past my knees on this one. Like,
Go ahead, Bo.
man,
I'll
like,
let you get your rant off before we start.
I mean, like some of the rule changes I get, right? Like they're trying to speed up the game. They're trying to keep the younger fan engaged and whatever. Okay. Like the pitch clock, I didn't like it at first, but now you don't really notice it. Not checking runners, capping the amount of times. Like I could get into that. The bigger bases, I think, is stupid. So there's plenty of the rule changes that just are dumb, but a couple of them kind of worked. This one is absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, man, so the rule.
Well, wait a minute. Who gets to put these things in front of the rules committee? I mean, isn't there someone, like usually, like in the newspaper, there's an editor.
Sure.
Sure. I mean, isn't there someone that goes through these and like, wait a minute, this is ridiculous. I mean,
it's.
Have we no filter at all?
Well, it's Manfred. Manfred is the one that is pushing all this through. So I'm not really sure what the purpose is, but some of it's worked. And so, unfortunately for us that kind of like baseball the way it was, some of the things have worked. So it's allowing him to just push more crap through. And this is one of those. It on its face, it's interesting, right? Because you're like, okay, say you had, you're down by a few runs. It's the ninth. You're deep in the batting order. You got the bases loaded. And instead of having your eighth guy who's batting 167, you can throw Ohtani back up, right? I would say Judge, but we're saying playoff situation, and he doesn't play in the playoffs, so he just doesn't show up at all. But so in theory, you could get Ohtani back up, right? But at the same time, say you're down by 2 runs, bases are loaded, right? So you just intentionally walk a run in to get Ohtani on. He can't steal, and it doesn't take the place of the batter that he's batting in front of. So now, right after Ohtani, you have your guy batting 167. So are they a run closer? Sure. But you only get to do it one time in a game, and there would still be ways to get around having that batter matter, right? Now, it's not a pinch hit situation, so it's not like anybody has to come out of the game or anything like that. Nobody loses their spot in the order. So, I mean, it's literally just wedging the guy back in. But, or you know what? I take that back. Maybe it would work out for Judge. He could strike out, and they could just leave him at the plate. And, with 6 strikes available, maybe he gets a hit.
These are things to me, it's like participation trophies. We have to get, everybody compatible or competitive, I guess, But when
I don't mind that. Like I do
but,
like balance.
But when one team has a lineup that has $60 million and another team has one that's barely $1 million, what difference does it make how they change those guys around if they're down by 4 or 5 runs?
See, and to your point there, that's where I wish baseball had a upper and lower cap, right? Like your payroll has to be at least this and has to be under this. Let's make these ball clubs competitive, right? Because I mean, it's always the same few teams, right? And the other teams get to skate by on it because the TV contract has revenue share, right? So the bigger markets share money with the smaller markets, and it's a weird payout situation, but it's worked for them. But if you actually want to see the league get competitive, like truly competitive across all the teams, they need a cap.
Yeah, but good luck. Maybe that's why he works on all these crazy little rules, because he knows that there's no way in the hell that's going to happen, right?
No, definitely not.
So but yeah.
You would think the owners would kind of like a cap, though.
Well, they probably would if you're the little guy. But do you think that the Mets and the Yankees and so they're going to say, oh yeah, well come on, guy, yeah, right, okay.
Well, I mean, the Dodgers definitely don't want to.
Yeah,
they just want a ring.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy, but. As I was saying, switching over to college football, I got to put these questions now kind of in reverse, because you have Oregon, which we know is has been number one all year.
Yep.
But now you also have Boise State, which is also getting that first round bye. Bo, talk to me about what's going on out there on the West Coast.
Yeah, in fact, what you got Arizona State too,
right?
You got the Sun Devils on the first round, but so it's funny because the Pac-12 folds up and it's a couple of Pac-12 teams in it. Yeah, I mean they're playing good football. I mean for Arizona State, they went into what appeared to be a weaker conference. Right. Let's be honest. Boise State, though, I mean, they've been good for years now, right? They just always suffer from the fact that they are in a division that isn't full of powerhouse schools, right? They always have a couple of good teams on their schedule, but the Mountain West isn't exactly a juggernaut. So they in years past, like if you had this expanded playoff, I would bet Boise State would have been in it a bunch of times, just because they have had a very good team.
How many years have we talked about Boise State? I mean, really, Boise State. What was the one year I think they went undefeated and couldn't get in.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, right? Is it always came down to like weird voting situations and strength of schedule, and I mean, and of course, obviously, we knew that the system was flawed. You looked at Florida State last year, undefeated, still missed, right? Because you have Power 5 conference, and which, I feel like for college should have been easy math. There's 5 of them, and you only had 4 spots. Seemed like they messed that up a little bit. So I'm glad that the playoff has expanded. I also got a little bit of a chuckle with Alabama getting – missing that, but yeah, no, I mean, Boise's had a good team for years. I mean, it's not like it's a new thing. It's just they finally get in, and it's funny that the year they get in, they probably would have been in the top 4 anyway.
Yeah, but let's talk about those Ducks, man. I mean, all season, being very consistent. I think the closest game they played all year was against Ohio State.
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to carry this on to a national championship?
Not a chance. Not a chance. and I see Wen is in the comments here, and she is a Duck fan. No. The Ducks are. We have 1 million uniforms and no national championships. I might be a little bit biased because I'm a Husky fan. No, they actually legitimately have a squad that could run the table on this thing. Like they have a real shot at it. They have an interesting bracket though, because they have Texas and who else did they have?
Well, it's Ohio State and Tennessee.
That's right, Ohio State. Yeah.
They get we get the winner. Oregon gets the winner of that, and then it's the next round.
Yeah, that's a tough road. Either one of those teams is going to be a tough out. They do obviously benefit from the first round bye though, so they have a real shot. That'll probably be their toughest game, actually, because when they go next, it would be either Arizona State or who's the other side of their bracket? I forget offhand.
I had them up here.
Let me take a look. I actually made a thing for it earlier today.
I think is it Indiana?
That one's Clemson and Texas.
Okay.
So, I mean, realistically, this probably ends up being Oregon, Texas on that side. Even though Arizona State has played well, man, the Longhorns look good.
Were you surprised let's go back here a minute talking about the Ducks and the national championship. I was also I got to talk about Dabo.
Okay.
Dabo is kicked and screamed against his, all everything that's been happening.
Yep. No transfer portal. Doesn't want anything to do with any of
it. Is this going to bite him in the ass when he plays Texas?
Of course. I mean, when the rules change, whether you like them or not, you still got to come to play. Otherwise, you're going to be the odd man out, right? Like if you are just not going to participate in an element of getting talent on your team, you're behind. So if you look at their rosters, right, and you look at Clemson and Texas, you can't honestly look at that and be like, Clemson's the better team. I mean, Texas is winning regardless of who's under center. Every time Ewers gets hurt. I mean, not to say that Arch is going to be a bad quarterback or anything. Obviously, there's some lineage there. But, I mean, still, he just comes in and it still clicks, right? Which means the team is very good, right?
He was in the Heisman Trophy conversation earlier in the year.
Oh, Ewers? Yeah. Yeah,
both of them were, when Ewers went down, Arch is coming. Here comes Arch. Is he going to be? Yeah. I mean, that was the hype. But I'm just saying.
I was going to say there was no stats to support that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I don't think Clemson has a real shot at this. I mean, don't get me wrong; it's a good team. Texas is a far superior team.
Were you surprised at the University of Georgia? Did you think that they would be higher up?
I mean, they got a bye, don't they?
Is it Georgia? Is it Georgia got the bye?
Yeah.
Only because they beat Texas. Yeah. When going into that game, everybody thought that Texas was going to beat Georgia. I mean, it was kind of an upset. So Georgia gets it's now Oregon, Georgia, Arizona State, and Boise State, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, but Georgia is a two-loss team. We were talking about 3 loss. Well, Alabama, a good example, 3-loss team that didn't make it. Yep. But among the 2-loss teams, do you think that Georgia is the better? And I'm including Ohio State in this. I'm salty about that second loss to Michigan. I thought sure this would be the year. No Harbaugh, blah 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 blah, and short 13 to damn 10.
I
But
mean,
anyway,
does Day get fired if they get bounced first round?
oh, most definitely. Oh, most. He luckily, that's the thing that saves you because I think he might have been fired after the Michigan loss.
mean,
this is Ohio State, Bo.
No, for sure. For sure. No, that's why I asked the question, because it's like, man, if they lose to Tennessee, he could be out the door.
Oh yeah, a loss to Tennessee and a loss to Michigan. Oh my, most definitely. Yeah. If not, you talk about a hot seat. My goodness, he would have to win a national championship next year.
Pretty much.
Yep. So.
Yeah. I mean, I guess let me ask you, what did you think of Penn State? I mean, even in their losses, they were giving teams everything they could handle.
Oh, they gave the Buckeyes all they could handle, and I was salty then because Penn State was ranked above Ohio State. Of course, they were number 4, and I think we were like number 6, and they came coming into that game. I knew that that was almost a must win because with our record against Franklin, if he had managed to lose that one, I'm sure he would have got his walking papers after the loss to Michigan. But maybe it would have turned things around. But no, Penn State, is a team that nobody really wants to play unless you just, unless you just happen to fall in that bracket. Penn State could be a dark horse as far as making it, but I'll be kind of frank here, Bo. I was kind of confused when they were talking about how many teams the Big Ten had in, and I forgot we're the Big 18 now.
Yes. Absolutely.
So, hey, and possibly the Big 22. Who knows? But what's happening with the guys on the outside here? The old Pac-12.
Yep. Yeah, the Pac-2. Pac-2. Yeah, so you end up with Oregon State winning the championship, which is hilarious because I think they were 5-7. So that's pretty great. And then of course it's funny again, Husky fan, for Wazoo to not be able to get it done, even when there was only 2 schools they couldn't figure it out. Despite having a better record, Oregon State picks it up. So that was enjoyable. As a Husky fan, you always want to see Wazoo choke the big game, and you always want to see Oregon come up short. And that's why I made the joke that they have all the uniforms and no titles. But yeah, Oregon probably legitimately has the best shot to run the table. But yeah, I mean, there's really not much noteworthy in the Pac-12. They're in the process of trying to add some schools from the Mountain West, and now they're going to get sued from the Mountain West for doing it. So it's becoming something that might cost so much to make happen that it may not make sense. There's also been rumors that a couple of the teams that went to the Big 12 might try and come back. I don't see how that makes any sense. But the Pac-12 is going to be interesting to watch over the next couple of years because they only have 2 years to figure it out. So I think they're required to have at least 8 schools to remain a viable conference. And so they have this coming year and the following to get to that mark to remain a conference. Otherwise, it sounds like it ends up kind of folding up anyway.
Yeah. Well, hey, I guess stranger things have happened in college football. We can't leave without talking about Bill Belichick.
For sure.
You know, I was kind of scared, for college recruits. Bill Belichick sitting in your kitchen, and talking with
Right.
talking with dad, and well, he's not very good, but maybe in about 4 years with my, with my help, we'll make a player out of him. I mean, Bill just doesn't have that warm and fuzzy
Him
type.
on the recruiting path is amazing. Like, I hope there's a body cam or like like a Hard Knocks version. I mean, because like all I can imagine is him being on your couch, being like, yeah, well, like, you can come play for us, and you might make it to the league. We don't really need you. You're not very good, but you could probably make the squad. Like, none of that says, hot damn, sign me up. That being said, he probably does have all the connections to help get you to the next level if you're good enough. But man, that recruiting path has to be hilarious.
But now, do you think that this is a result of the Andrew Luck, president of what was it, football, general manager of football, I guess, at his alma mater? Do you think that we'll see more of NFL personalities kind of generate to the college scene, especially with the NIL money and stuff like that? I mean, they're more used to dealing with these type of people that make more than they do.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I think this one for Belichick was more of he wasn't ready to be done. And the way that it wrapped up this last year, where he only got one interview, didn't get the job. I think there was purely speculation, right? But I'm feeling more like maybe Kraft poisoned the well around the NFL enough that maybe Bill wasn't going to get a legit shot at a job this year, and he still wants to coach, right? So
you don't think that they would have welcomed Bill in Chicago after Eberflus?
I mean,
I'm just talking about one destination here, but I mean,
so if you're a smart franchise, of course, but we're talking about the Bears, right? I mean, you have what Levy, who gets fired the year after they draft Trubisky. They have Fox the year, fire him the year after they get, Fields, and now Eberflus the year after they get Fields. So, Williams. So, I mean, they're in the business of ruining quarterbacks. I don't think you can do that with Bill.
well, okay, the Raiders. Tom Brady's part owner now.
Oh, could you imagine that sideline of, because Brady isn't going to be that involved, right? He's a minority owner and he's got all the media stuff. But imagine a sideline with Belichick and Mark Davis. I mean, that sounds hilarious. Just like he would never make it to, Dallas, right? Can you see him and Jones? Like, that's not going to work. Like, funny and great for shows like us, but I mean, as far as actual winning football, that just sounds like a disaster. I would love to see the Rex Ryan to the Jets with Rodgers still there. I mean, man, electric. Let's go. But no, I think this really was, he wanted to coach, and this was his surefire way to ensure he could do it.
Yeah. Well,
Plus, there's kind of a weird element to it because he's going to have his kid come and be like the assistant, I think. And part of the contract that they're trying to iron out is when he wants to retire, that he is the successor for him.
He gets.
So there's like a legacy end to it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But like I said, I think I joked about it last week. Bill on the recruiting trail, and like this just was not a fit, and sure enough, we got a shoehorn. We made it fit.
Yep.
Oh,
I did have one question for you on the college playoff. Now that it's here, right?
Okay.
Do you think they ultimately leave it the way it is, where it's bracket based, kind of like March Madness, or do you think they end up switching over to the NFL model where each round kind of reseeds, right, based on the entry point? Because when you look at these brackets, one bracket is not made like the other, right? So, like, Oregon has much tougher schools to get past than, say, Arizona State. So it seems like it would be better fit if it was more like the NFL. They pick their sides of the equation, and then each round they reseed based on the rankings, rather than bracket style.
I like the NFL concept that they reseed after each bracket, but also. Are we going to expand to 16 teams?
Yeah, it sounded like it was going to be 14 next year and then 16 after that.
Right. I think these are things that you need to sort out before you get to that final 16.
Oh, that's not what the NCAA does.
Well, we know that, but I mean, that would make sense, right? So.
Exactly.
Yeah. But like you said, the current way, I think you had to start somewhere. So I can see this being the first year of the 12. Okay, let's try this. Maybe 2026, we try this. And like by the time it's over, at the end we have a solid playoff schedule that we adhere to. We have a solid rankings that we adhere to, which all sounds when you talk about the NCAA. First of all, is the NCAA going to be around? With the current financial situation and the different things going on. So there might not be an NCAA, but there will be some type of structure in place. Yeah,
I mean, if they go away, I guess they can't mess it up anymore. Because there's that. Yeah, I mean, the NCAA is so reactionary, which is why, it almost feels like there's not a plan, right? They're like, we're going to have 12, and everybody's just like, okay, cool. We got a playoff. How's it going to work? And they're like, yeah, we didn't think about that. We're just going to have one. So, it's like the NIL, right? They're just like, yeah, we're going to allow the NIL. It's like, okay, well, what are the rules for it? Like, we didn't work that out. We're just go find money.
So yeah, that's why that's why I'm kind of doubtful that I think that there won't be an NCAA, at least as the one that we know it. Maybe a different structure, maybe same letters but a different structure, but something has to be done. I mean, just for the sake of business, you can't keep going this way. How many lawsuits were there against the NCAA this year? Alone?
Oh, just all of them.
So nobody's pockets are that deep when it comes to lawyers.
That's for sure.
So
So, I mean, do you think that the Power Five, Power Four, whatever, you think those are going to finally form their own thing?
Yeah, yes. They're going to. I think under the way that everything is structured, and like I said, with so many lawsuits against the NCAA, uh, either they're going to go bankrupt or they're going to change.
Yeah.
It's that simple in today's economy. You either go bankrupt, like I said, you can't keep, making millionaires out of lawyers or billionaires out of lawyers.
That's for sure. Well, I mean, we're talking about the NCAA, so they're going to go bankrupt. They're not going to change. They don't do that well.
See, I'm supposed to be the pessimist on the show.
I mean, I feel like that's also optimistic.
Right, you are. Right, you are. Okay. I'm going to assume that you still have to leave at 7.
I do.
Okay,
Yep.
so let's bless you. Let's get to week 16 and the road to the playoffs. And if we get a chance to make a few predictions, we will.
Okay.
But the first game that I want to talk about is the Rams and the 49ers.
Yeah.
The Rams, they have a chance to put the 49ers out of their misery. But do they have anything left after that shootout that they just had with the Bills?
So the thing with the Rams is they are actually a very good team with zero depth. So whenever they're healthy, they can beat anybody. But as soon as they get nicked up, they don't have anybody behind them. And so that's one of the things with the Rams is right now, they're actually kind of healthy. They finally have everybody back. So do I think they can take down the Niners? Sure. The Niners are beat up in every possible way, right? So I think their third string running back just ended up on IR also, right?
Yeah.
So CMC's out, Mason's out, their third string guy, I don't even remember his name. Even if he's not on IR, it sounds like he's going to miss this game. So they're going to be down to their fourth string running back. Purdy's playing, but he's kind of nicked up. And, you got Debo that really hasn't played great, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of things kind of going against the Niners.
Your two best wide receivers for the 49ers right now are Juwan Jenkins and what's the kid that got shot?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember his name offhand, but yeah,
Purcell?
no, you're right. You're right, because Ayuk is out.
Yeah, Purcell is, I think, is it Purcell?
Yeah, I believe you're right. Yeah. So, I mean, the Niners just don't have a lot going for them. They're just a really beat up team. So the Rams should be able to win this. As a Hawks fan, I would like the Niners to give us some breathing room and beat up on the Rams a little bit. But, because we're only a game ahead of the Rams as it sits, Arizona's basically dead because not only are they 2 games ahead of them, but they also own the tiebreaker, right? So Arizona pretty much losing that second game to Seattle basically ended their hopes to win the division. The Rams have a legit shot. They finished the year against Seattle, right? So that'll be a hugely important game. The Niners, on the other hand, they'd have to win out basically, because Seattle also has the tiebreak in that one because they have more divisional wins, right? Because they split as far as against each other,
right,
but they have more divisional wins, so they'd get the tiebreaker there. So the Rams are the only ones that have a clear shot to get by them. Because even if you look at the games Seattle has left, they have Green Bay this week, then the Vikings, both of those at home. Then they travel to Chicago and then have the Rams in LA. Not that matters for the last game of the season. I mean, SoFi is everybody's stadium, right?
It's beautiful stadium, but it is everybody's. You're right.
I mean, every time you see a game there, it's everyone else's jerseys.
Well, let's talk about that matchup this Sunday between Green Bay and Seattle, because if things would finish the way they are, that would also be the first round matchup.
Yep.
So, but this particular game is played in Seattle.
Yep.
And it could be, like I said, a preview of NFC first round matchup. So I got a couple of things I want you to kind of give us a little clue on here. First, the matchup, Gino against Jordan.
So Love has a better offensive line, and so he's going to have some opportunities. The one thing that has really come to life for Seattle over the last 3 weeks is the defense and the pass rush, especially. So if this game was played a month ago, I would have thought Green Bay just comes in and runs us over because we weren't able to do anything. Historically, Green Bay struggles in Seattle. And so that's encouraging, right? But when you look at the teams side by side, I would see Green Bay as the better team. But you have Seattle on a, upward trajectory. They've won 4 in a row. The defense has gone from one of the worst in the league to really being one of the better defenses. And the connection between Gino and JSN has really come together in the second half of this season. So this is going to be a highly competitive game. It's probably going to be one of the funner games to watch this weekend.
I think Walker's out, so I'm going to say Charbonneau against Jones.
Yeah, I mean, Charbonnet tore off 130 yards last week?
Yes, he did.
So, I mean, as long as the offensive line...
I set him down on my bench.
Oh, no. Oh, that's rough. No, I mean, that all comes down to the offensive line, though, right? Like, if they can create good situations for Charbonnet, he can run away. He's just not the bruising back that Walker is. So he needs that path. So as long as they can do some good things on the offensive line, Charbonnet can light you up. It's just having good, consistent offensive line play. And that's always the coin flip with Seattle, right? Like it could be good. It could be bad. It's probably bad. How's it going, Chad? Chad's also a Steelers fan.
And as you spoke of that Packers D versus that Seahawks improving defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean the Packers defense is good. Like it's a very balanced team, right? I mean they have the record they have for a reason. They would be leading other divisions more than likely. So I can't really find too many faults in that team, really. They just there's just some history where they don't travel well, right? At least to Seattle. It's such a tough game to pick. Obviously, I got a little bit of homer in me, so I want my team to win. But the Packers are favored on the road. So, I mean, I think they're a 3-point favorite on the road.
They're a 3-point favorite according to DraftKings.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like when you look at them statistically, they're better than Seattle in just about everything except passing yards.
All right. So I know you, like you said, you had the homer element there. So I won't hold you to a winner here, but I'm definitely a homer. And this week, we're playing the Eagles. Yep. I look at our schedule, we have to play the Eagles, we have to play the Ravens, we have to play Kansas City.
Yep.
And I understand we're in 3, but here's the thing. Can the Steelers defense hold up to the Eagles and Saquon Barkley? Now, we held Derrick Henry to 43 yards.
Sort of. I mean, so I agree that statistically it says that you did, but they also only gave him the ball like 13 times. So,
Yeah.
or 16 times, something like that. Like they didn't give him any opportunities.
Nope.
I mean, when you look at the Ravens, every game they've lost, he's had 16 or less carries.
Well, the Ravens they've scored 35 points in the last 2 games. 16 against us and 19 last week before their bye.
Yeah, well, because they stopped using Henry. Like I don't know if they're trying to save him or what their plan is, but I don't know how you forget that you have a 6'5", 250-pound guy that runs a 4.4 on your roster. Like I don't know how you miss giant number 22 hanging out. Like, but for whatever reason, every time they give him more than 20 carries, they win, and every time they don't, they lose. I feel like I can't be the only one that sees this tape. Now, when it comes to you guys, you were absolutely the perfect fit for Wilson. And I was saying this going into the season because you guys have a fantastic defense, right? Elite defense. You have a good running game. You have enough weapons that you can stretch the field with, and you need Wilson to be special 2 or 3 times a game. That he can do, right? If it becomes the let Russ cook situation, he's making Pop-Tarts with mayonnaise. Like it is not great. So, as long as he only has to be special like 3, 4, 5 times a game, dude can light it up. And you have a good offensive line, right? So he doesn't have to like scramble around because that's where he really gets in trouble.
Yeah. Surprisingly, we all kind of scoffed when Mike made the change, but it's worked out for us. But we've also shown what type of offense we are without Pickens, and that might be a little scary. So
yeah, well, I guess to answer your first question there, are you going to be able to stop Barkley? No. No, right? Like he's going to eat. So you got to stop the rest of the team. Like Barkley's going to get his, so you got to make sure that Brown doesn't, right? You can't get beat both in the air and on the ground.
Oh no. Joey Porter. Hopefully, he's been wearing those boxing gloves around the facility, and he knows that as every good DB knows, you got to keep your hands below the waist. But I am looking forward to this game, and I'm hoping that it's not a blowout. We do have some guys back,
you do have the better coach.
Yes, yeah.
You rarely have to overcome a Tomlin decision, whereas the Eagles routinely have to overcome Sirianni missteps.
Okay. I see. I see. Bill is here. So we're going to kind of carry on our conversation here because it's getting kind of close to your time here, Bo. So, so let's go back here and talk about. Let me see. Let's talk about Buffalo and Detroit. How about that one? We got Josh Allen, who just accounted for 6 TDs in a loss, and we have the Lions defense here that's down to used car lot salesman, clothing salesman. guys that they just went up and picked off the streets more or less. Uh, what do you think? A Bills loss coupled with the Steelers win could move us up to number 2, provided we beat the Eagles. But
no, I mean it's a real possibility. I mean, Josh Allen can only will so many wins, right? I mean, the fact that he had to throw 3 and run 3 in to narrowly lose kind of lets you know where the rest of the team is. I think the Lions will get this done. But yeah, I mean, you guys have some work to get past the Eagles still. But yeah, the Bills live and die on whatever Allen can do. And has he played amazing? Absolutely. Is he probably the front runner for the MVP? No question. Do I think the Lions are a more complete team, even with all the injuries on the defense? Probably.
Okay. Tampa Bay at the Chargers. This could be an impactful win for the Chargers since they will be meeting the Broncos next week. And of course, we know that Kansas City's has run away with that division, but it's a good chance that the Chargers and the Broncos could meet for that wild card space.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to bet against this Tampa team because they just find ways to win. It's very scrappy. You got to like this for Baker Mayfield. He's been playing out of his mind. He does actually finally have one of his weapons back, which is helpful. But do I think they can go blow for blow with the Chargers? Probably not. This is one they probably come up short. And then that makes that division interesting also because that potentially makes it so that it's tied back up with the Falcons, right? Because I believe they have a 1-game lead over the Falcons right now. So it's division.
Tampa's 1 game ahead.
Yeah. So I think they end up dropping this game, but that division will be, it's almost like no one wants to win that one.
Yeah, but it's a good chance that the Falcons are going to continue their losing streak too. So
for sure.
The last game I got to get out of you before we get your final thoughts, Bo. Is going to be the Colts and Denver. Only because this kid Bo Nix is I think the most fascinating story out of the season. But what do you think here? Could the Colts and Anthony Richardson actually catch the Broncos looking ahead at the Chargers?
Probably not, because the Broncos still need these wins to be able to get into the playoffs. So they're going to be looking at every one of these guys going in. And, you can't sleep on the fact that they have a top 3 defense, right? That, especially when you think of they were having those numbers even when the offense wasn't doing anything. So that defense was spending a lot of time on the field, and they were still, between 1 and 3 as far as rankings and just about everything. So I don't think so. I think this is one where, the Broncos kind of cruise here and beat up on a Colts team that's just not quite there yet.
Hey, man, good chopping it up with you for this hour. Why don't you give us your final thoughts before we let you go?
Yeah, if I could share a slide. So this will be my final thought here. Is our local arena football team is doing a donation drive right here at the Buzz Inn Steakhouse in Everett. So if you're in the Pacific Northwest, come out. I'm going to be there. You'll be able to meet your arena football team. And from 6 to 8:30, Buzz In on Evergreen Way. So come on out, come say hi, help support your local team.
All right, man. Hey, good having you around this time, and look forward to talking to you again next week or whenever you can find time for us, man.
Absolutely. Always great to be here. Take it easy, guys.
All right. Have a good one. Good evening, Bill.
Hello there.
So me and Bo was having a little fun here. I'm going to recap a couple things. Going back to, of course, baseball, and we had a conversation about these contracts when Otani got that generational money, and we were talking about how great it is. Well, we got a guy now that signed a 15-year contract, $765 million, and it's not deferred like Otani's.
No, it's not.
What's your thoughts here on this Soto contract?
Well, one is the first thought is ka-ching. That's my first thought. That he's buying, right? When we go somewhere or do anything, he's picking up the tab. In fact, he could pick up the tab for Cyprus, which is an island nation near Greece. They've had some economic issues, and he could basically bail them out. he is he is literally just a few smart investments away from becoming a billionaire, right? If he just handles a couple of these things the right way, he could become a billionaire. Think about that. Think about if he literally invests in the right things, buys the right properties, invest in the right, stocks or exchange traded funds or, options.
He's close enough, Bill, where he doesn't even have to be smart. He could be an average investor.
You could be a very average investor and reach a billion, yes. You could be a slightly below average investor but patient. Slightly below average but patient investor and still reach a billion. That is what I keep tossing around in my mind, that this could be a person who could reach $1 billion without being particularly great at investing or anything. I mean, just as a hedge against I feel funny saying it as a hedge against inflation about a guy who's getting this kind of money, but as a hedge against inflation, yes, he should definitely look at some places to put some of that money. And, call me. I'll be happy for a nominal fee to guide you through this process. Yeah, he is. I mean, you said generational. I think the word you left out is multi. He is multi-generationally wealthy. If things are done correctly, we should be able to go 5 or 6 generations without anyone having to pick up anything ever. Like this should be. They should only have to do like the Rockefeller kids do, run the foundation.
Well, let me ask you this, Bill, because Bo said that we haven't seen it yet. But, as we just mentioned, like Otani just got a big contract last year. And usually, it's the next guy up. He also gets the next step up financially. Right. So Bo said that he doesn't think it'll happen within the next few years or so. He said that he doesn't think that the kid is in baseball yet. But Bill, who's going to be our first $1 billion signing?
It's probably, as Bo said, somebody in whose name we don't know yet in Japan or the Dominican Republic. It's probably not an American-born player, quite frankly. They'll have to be able to get to the majors by about 19 or 20. So here's the mechanics of it. You want to get through that rookie deal with still so much upside that someone's willing to sign you to an extremely long-term deal, and still the feeling that you don't want to be Pujols, right? You don't want to end up getting Pujols. We saw what happened, right? It's very uncomfortable getting Pujols, James. Nobody likes getting Pujols, where you are still paying top dollar to somebody who can no longer run at all, can't really hit all that well, is unable to field any position at any level. I mean, like you can't he was a guy who spent most of his career in the National League. Right? What made it worse, right, is that he wasn't even an American leaguer, where you can sort of, well, nowadays I guess it doesn't matter as much, but at one point it made a difference. If you couldn't really field your position at all, you're getting paid top dollar. It hurt the team in the national, at least in the old days, in the National League. So, that doesn't matter as much now as it used to, not being able to field at all. But he couldn't do anything, James. Like the last couple of years was hard to watch. And even harder, I guess, if you're paying him. So nobody wants to get Pujols. You don't want to end up paying a 41-year-old guy all this money. So you need to have this person be in their early to mid-20s when you sign this ridiculous contract, where you say, hey, I'm going to sign you from the age of 24. That's hopefully what you're trying to get them until the age of, say, 39 or 38, 39. And yes, I'll give you $1 billion.
Okay.
But after taxes, James, that's really only about $730 million. So you think about it that way.
Well, if you're most millionaires, you don't have to worry about paying taxes. So you find a way to defer. But
that person you're talking about is probably a 6th or 7th grader somewhere, like I said, in the Dominican or Japan or somewhere. And they'll need to be a special player. They'll need to be somebody who, like I said, makes the majors young, right? That's the big thing. So probably maybe Dominican has a better chance than Japanese, but most Japanese players don't get here until they're at least in their mid-20s. So now I think about it more, it's probably more likely to be somebody who came here in their, teens from the Dominican or something, and then by the time they're done with their rookie deal is in their early to mid-20s.
Okay. All right. Mr. Scott, good to see you tonight. I knew you'd be slipping through here sometime. I just wasn't quite sure what time, but you did get here in time enough for us to get our playoffs and predictions over. So I'm going to start you guys on our most important games this week, and what you think. Of course, the Vikings, they have a cupcake this week. I think they play the Bears or something.
There's no cupcakes in this league.
Excuse me now. Don't make me play what you said about them Bears last week. But I mean, your game this week has no implications on the playoffs, is what I'm saying, because you're definitely lodged in second place, and it does, unless something happens to Green Bay, which we will be talking about, you're kind of locked in. So we don't have to worry about where the Vikings is. The only thing I have to worry about is whether your record is better than mine at the end of the season.
Which it will be.
Okay, well, we did discuss the tiebreakers, but we'll see.
Well, now we're going to tiebreak. Well, I tell you what. Well, maybe you want to bail out. Maybe you want to bail out.
Oh, no. I don't want to bail out, but I want to
offer you a bailout. Yeah.
No. I stick behind my guys. I'm not like Dave that picked them. I went down with my ship. I'm the captain of this Titanic. But anyway, let's talk about the Green Bay game against the Seattle Seahawks, because right now, if the season was to end right now, this would actually be the first round matchup. Right. So what do you guys think about this game this week? We got Geno Smith against Love. You got Charbonneau, who gashed for 133 yards last week versus Mr. Jones. And you got that Seattle defense has been much improved against the Green Bay defense. So, Bill, who do you think has the advantage here?
And this is being played in the
It's being
great,
played in Seattle.
right? I was going to say the great Northwest, right? I mean, I think Seattle has the better chance to win the game for two reasons. One is you mentioned one of them, right? Defense. I think their defense is a slightly better defense of the two. And then the biggest factor is they're very tough to beat at home. They have a legitimate home field advantage. That is a difficult, even when they aren't particularly good, that's a difficult place to play. When they're, 6-10, that's a difficult place to play. I mean, legendarily, right? Speaking of after going 7-9 and still making the playoffs, that's where the right now world famous Beastquake run took place, where a favored Packers team got upset. So it is a difficult place to play. When you on a neutral field, this would be a much more difficult game to pick. And then if it were played in Wisconsin, it'd be extremely difficult to pick this game. But when you combine the way that Seattle's defense has looked recently with the fact they're playing at home, while I think it'll be a very, very close game, I'll give the slightest of edges to the Seahawks.
What do you think there, Mr. Scott?
I have to follow the cab because, and then Geno Smith has been playing some very good football. And along with the defense and then going up to the Northwest, they seem like, they want to really make some noise over there. I mean, they really do. They seem like they really want to make some noise. So I like Love. I like what the Packers are doing. But I think I'm leaning toward Geno Smith and Seattle in this game.
Okay, all right. Another matchup this week that has me definitely worried. I guess would be the best way to describe it. We have my Steelers visiting the Eagles. Our defense did manage to hold Derrick Henry to 83 yards in that game, but he was also under 20 carries. I'm kind of concerned here about.
And with good reason.
Yes, sir. But then I'm also concerned about Mr. Hands-on Jerry Porter going up against Andrew Brown. So, Mr. Scott, your takeoff here.
Well, I think the Eagles have suddenly kind of found their swag. I mean, I really think that, they're really ready to show that they're one of the best teams. And I think what a better team to do it against than, the upstart, Pittsburgh has looked good. Wilson has looked good. And I know your coach, he's just the Pope as far as you're concerned. He's just the greatest thing that ever touched the earth.
It's sliced bread.
But I really think the Eagles are really ready to show who they are. And boy, I have to go with them. I have to go. And the game is in Philly, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, one of the worst places. Bill was talking about Seattle. You want to talk about one of the worst places to play. I mean, what isn't that where they booed Santa? Isn't that where they, so yeah, I have to stick with Philly, and that would actually be an upset if Pittsburgh was to win that game. I would call that as an upset.
Yeah, we are. Philly is favored at home. Bill.
Yeah, while I am a fan, I am an analyst first. I would love to see Pittsburgh find a way to win this game, and of course, they found a way to win tough games this year. But two things you mentioned, things that concern you. Stopping Derrick Henry is not the same as stopping Saquon Barkley for two reasons. Derrick Henry is a big back, and he can get up to speed, but the term up to speed, he needs 2 steps, right? And on that third step, If you don't get him, you got problems. Saquon Barkley can get up to full speed in one step. You got one step. You got to get to him right away, or else you got problems. He can get to full speed so much more quickly than a guy with some, I mean, the thing about Henry is he has very long legs, and Barkley has the classic perfect running back build, right? He has the ideal perfect running back build. Basically, Barry Sanders scaled up to almost 230 pounds. He terrifies me, and he catches the ball much more naturally than a guy like Derrick Henry. Henry can catch the ball, but he has to see it come out of the quarterback's hands, while Saquon can turn his back on the quarterback and snatch it over his shoulder. And you mentioned, I think you called him Jerry Porter, but I think you meant who was a wide receiver from West Virginia, but I don't think they're related. I think you meant Joey Porter Jr. Yeah. And then you mentioned Andrew Brown, who was at one point on the old Amos and Andy show.
No, I said AJ Brown.
Oh, I thought.
That was Andrew H. Brown.
Okay.
I thought you said Andrew Brown. Oh, good. Then we don't have to worry about the loyalistic Knights of the Sea. But Arthur Brown Jr., yes, is a problem. And now Skinny Batman is also back. Devontae Smith is back. So the issue is, if you're going to play man-to-man, who are you shading coverage to? And then you're going to sit back in zone. That means that you're going to have to deal with their underneath receivers who are all good after the catch. And in a weird sort of way, the injury to Goddard to put Calcaterra in there, actually, it hurts them in the run game a little bit because Calcaterra is about 239 pounds. So almost 20 pounds lighter, well, about 16 pounds lighter than Goddard. So he's not quite the blocker that Goddard is, but after the catch, he's even more of a problem. Calcaterra can run after the catch even better than Goddard. Goddard's good after the catch. But Calcaterra is a guy that if he gets loose underneath, he can be problems for linebackers to keep up with. I do not like this game. I do not like many things about it. It literally divides my home. My lovely girlfriend is an Eagles fan. So it is not an easy game for me at all. I do think the Eagles are the more balanced team. The slightly better defense is ours, right? The Steelers have a slightly better defense, but the Eagles have a good defense. Like, I want to make it clear that they have a very good defense. Ours is, I think, slightly better, but their offense can hurt us more different ways than our offense can hurt theirs. They have explosive players in every position on offense, and we have one really explosive player at one position on our offense. Frymuth is steady, and our running backs, I mean, Warren is quick and a slasher, but he's not, a guy that's going to win the game for you. And Najee is a plotter, an effective plotter, but a plotter. So, yeah, I do not like this game. I will be very glad when this game is over. I think the Steelers have a pretty good chance to win the rest of their games, but I do not like this game.
Bill, the games after this is Kansas City, and then the Ratbirds, and then I think is it Cincinnati?
Yes. But, okay. So here's what I'll say.
Wait, no. I just want to talk about this.
Okay, I'll save it. I'll keep my. I don't want to leave my fight in the gym, but I've got some analysis when we get to those other games.
Okay. The next game, Bill, the Rams and the 49ers. Can the Rams finally get a chance to put the 49ers out of their misery, but do they have anything left after that shootout with the Bills?
Well, yes, they have something left after that shootout with the Bills. Here, you know this as well as I do. Momentum is a thing in football. It's probably a thing in all of the sports as well. The Rams are feeling good about themselves. The only thing that I'm worried about is that we talk about playing for pride. That normally means, I'm going to say it doesn't mean something, but it means something to prideful teams. The 49ers are a prideful team. They're a prideful franchise. They know they've underachieved. They don't like how the season's turned out. They would love to be a burr under the saddle of a team that's riding high like the Rams. I think this game will be extremely close. I think this game will be extremely difficult. I think the Rams will have to fight and scratch and claw to keep the 49ers at bay. I think they will, but I think it's, once again, one of those games that goes down. Watch out. We talk about last-second field goals. Cardi is a really good, though not very well-known, a really good field goal kicker. I picked him up in a couple of my fantasy teams. But he is a guy who's going to have to come through with them. This is going to be a field goal game. Listen to what I'm saying. Both teams are going to struggle in the red zone. There'll be probably one touchdown scored by each team and then a bunch of field goals. Both these teams are going to give each other trouble. They know each other well, first of all, right? These are teams that know each other well. We talk about what happens when you play a team a lot, right? They know your tendencies and they know your tricks. They know what you're thinking. They know what you think you're thinking about them. They know what they think that you're thinking about what they're thinking. There's all of this sort of stacked understanding of what teams want to do because you know what they know about you and what you know about them and what you think they think and what you know they think. So watch for the team that gets out early, and then watch for the team that converts on third down, especially the tough third downs, those 3rd and 4 or more. That's going to be the key to victory. And I just think the Rams have a little bit more, especially if Isaac Guerendo's not able to go. Now, Taylor's a good running back, but and as many running backs as the 49ers have, and they're all good, there's a drop-off. There's finally a drop-off. I know you thought maybe never it would happen, but from the 3rd to the 4th running back, there's finally a drop-off. Taylor's a good player, but he's not at the level of Mason, and obviously no one's at the level of maybe McCaffrey, but Guerendo is a big back who runs 4.33, right? He's a 226-pounder who runs 4.33. Patrick Taylor is not quite that level of talent. So if Guerendo's not able to go, particularly then, I think that gives the edge to the Rams.
Mr. Scott, what do you think?
Well, this is a dangerous game for both teams. I mean, the Rams have started to get some of their players back. You know, the only thing that I think holds them back is early in the season they lost some games they shouldn't. I mean, they weren't all the way together, and their record should be better than it is. But because of where they're at, and I think San Francisco, the momentum, as you know, Bill is saying, the momentum seems to be there, in my estimation, with that team. And I think San Francisco wants to have a say in what's going to happen with this thing. And boy, I like the Rams. They're dangerous. I mean, there's no question about it. They're getting their players back. They're healthy, but they've lost too many games up to this point. I mean, they've just, you know, their season is just kind of just middling. And I think the 49ers, that's the way I'm going on this. I like what I'm seeing of them. They seem to be rolling, and I think they're going to have a say in this. That's where I'm coming from with this.
All right, Mr. Scott, you know where I'm going next. Buffalo and Detroit. Okay. Now, we had Josh Allen. He threw 3 touchdowns and ran for 3 touchdowns. That was against that was last week when they had 86 points between them and the Rams.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Can the Lions makeshift defense hold up against the juggernaut offense of the Buffalo Bills? And a Bills a loss, could help us if we upset the Eagles. But what's your thoughts here? Detroit against Buffalo. Well, Buffalo against Detroit because the game is in Detroit.
Yeah. Well, you know, obviously your prognostication about a Bills loss could make the Steelers. And, you know, nobody's all that concerned about that. I mean, right now, what we're concerned about is I think the Bills are another team. I mean, I'm telling you, this is going to be a real, this is going to be, you know, Foreman and Lyle and Norton. This is really going to be a real slugfest to get to this thing this year. And
they are ranked number 2. They are ranked behind number 2.
You know, the Bills, and I like that quarterback. He's getting things done. Now, I kind of question how healthy he might be because he runs and he's taken a lot of hits, and I've seen him kind of hobble a little bit here and there. But boy, and Detroit has had some injuries. They've lost a lot of key players, and then their coach is going to continue to gamble. He's going to continue to go for it. He's going to continue, and I think that's going to run its course at some point. And, in spite of Demetrius, I'm sure he's got his waving his pom poms every day. But this is a game. I like Buffalo, and I like the fact that the Vikings are playing the Bears, and I think that this could really come down to that last game. The Vikings will be playing Detroit, and that's the game. I'm almost thinking about going to Detroit for this. I mean, it's really getting that bad. It's getting that ridiculous at this point. But no, I'm Buffalo. I think Buffalo should be able to pull this one out.
What's your thoughts here, Bill?
The Lions have had a lot of injuries. Where they've been very healthy all year? Their offensive line. And you saw a Rams offensive line. That's good, but nowhere close to as good as the Lions offensive line. Open crevasses, open yawning, gaping maws of holes for Kyron Williams. And now you look at what an even better offensive line is about to do to the Buffalo Bills. We saw this Herculean performance from Josh Allen come up short against an offense that's not as good as Detroit's offense. And now we're saying that he's going to somehow top that and beat the Lions. While I do believe it'll be a shootout, at least in part because of the injuries that the Lions have suffered on the defensive side of the ball, I don't think you can ask for more out of Josh Allen. I don't know if there can be that much more to come out of Josh Allen. They're going to need to defend the run dramatically better than they did. And then you add to the fact that Amon-Ra St. Brown, who didn't do that much last week, but he's going to do more this week. They have a really good tight end. They have two really good running backs. And like I said, one of the 2 or 3 best offensive lines in football. I think the reason this game will be extremely close is because the injuries the Lions have suffered on the defensive side of the ball. That'll keep it very close. But I just keep looking back when you look at the all 22 of that game they just played against the Rams, who have an okay offensive line, right? An okay offensive line. And the way they were having just devastatingly large holes opened against them, I just can't imagine how they're going to hold up against the Lions' much better offensive line. I think that it is a 6-point game, and I think that the Lions win by like 6. But it could easily be like a 38-32 kind of game, just because both teams are capable of scoring and getting a lot of big plays.
Okay. The last game I'm going to ask you about, Bill, is the Buccaneers against the Chargers. We know Baker Mayfield is having an outstanding year.
Drafted him in fantasy a couple times this year. Yep.
And, the Chargers, Justin Herbert is still doing his thing. But right now, the Chargers and the Broncos could be playing for possibly a wild card spot. I believe they're number 8 and 9, I believe they are. But what's your thoughts on this game, Bill?
Yeah, well, these are, once again, 2 very evenly matched teams. I think you'll get a sort of a good measure of the difference between the NFC and the AFC in this game. And Baker Mayfield is one of those players that when he's going right, when he's going well, when he's playing aggressively but controlled, right, but within control, he's easily a top 6 to 8 quarterback when he's doing that. But he's like the little girl with the curl. There are times when he gets a little too competitive, a little too Brett Favrean, and he thinks, "Oh, I can get it in there, I can jam it in there, I can make that throw," and he'll need to avoid that, right? For this game to be the great game that it could be, because that is a good defense, and we just saw them hold the Chiefs to 19 points, right? And the Chiefs convert on 3rd down at almost 50%, 52.97%. Nobody converts on third down at a higher percentage than the Chiefs. The Chiefs have more double-digit 10 or more play drives that result in a touchdown than any other team in the NFL. The Chiefs are number one. And despite that, the Chargers defense had the clamps on them. So the Chargers defense is a top flight defense. Tampa Bay certainly has a good offense, an explosive offense. They have two very good wide receivers and an emerging young wide receiver in Jalen McMillan that I like a great deal. They have two good running backs. But I worry about, especially in a situation where the game has a lot of pressure attached, if Baker Mayfield, who I'm a fan of, but can Baker Reagan Mayfield, Tampa Baker Reagan Mayfield, as I like to call him, can he not drive the truck into a ditch? And I feel like he might get the truck in a ditch. I think he'll try to get it out. I think there'll be a furious comeback towards the end, but that furious comeback comes up a little bit short and end up, let's say, falling 24-27.
Mr. Scott, what's your thoughts on this game?
Well, they're fighting to maybe get a playoff game, but they're not going to be making noise. I mean, these are
Tampa Bay can if they're one game.
If they win their division, you win your division, you get some chances. But I mean, I don't see them running over the other. I mean, it's just too many good teams. It's too many. I just think they're just playing for the right to be in it, and they'll if they get in to get a game, and then they'll go. I mean, I don't see them making any noise. I mean, that's just, that's just my perspective on those teams. I mean, I like Mayfield. I know Cleveland really wishes they had never got Mr. Massage. And, I mean, they're just, it's a sad situation. What they're trying to unload Massage. I heard they're trying to somehow wash the money away somehow. I don't know if they can do it, but they're really looking hard at that. I mean, and then obviously Jameis is not their answer. I mean, the mad bomber that throws to the other team all the time. So, I mean, these two teams, they'll be competitive. But, I mean, I like Tampa, but I can't see them winning one more than in a playoff game. I can't see them even winning one.
Are they going to beat the Chargers? Well, no, you don't have to answer that. We're getting ready to go into our predictions. So, we'll answer that a little bit down the line. So we'll see. So, Mr. Scott, I'm going to start with you with our predictions. Our game tomorrow night, of course, is a game that we've already discussed. But we have the LA Rams playing the 49ers, and the LA Rams are giving the 49ers 3. The game is in San Francisco, and the over-under is 48.5, Mr. Scott.
These hooks, I'm telling you, these hooks, boy, I'm telling you, these things are really dangerous. I mean, Al Michaels, boy, he just has a conniption when he hears, these hooks on when he was broadcasting. But I'm taking the 49ers in the over.
Okay. I'm going to take the Rams in the over. Bill, what are you taking?
I will also take the Rams in the over.
Okay. Bill, we had the Rams, the Ratbirds giving 16 to the Giants. They're playing at the Giants, and the over-under is 42.5. Bill?
Well, I think I'll take the over. I think more than 42.5 points, 43 or more will be scored. And, of course, the Ravens themselves might get close to that. But covering 16, good God, that's a lot of points. Man. As much as it scares me to an extremely high level. I will take the Ravens, but my God, that's a lot of points. This may be I think it's the most points I've ever backed a team to cover. That's ridiculous. I hope I never have to do it again.
Over under.
Or I said over. I said
Okay.
the Ravens themselves
Okay.
might score 43 points.
Yeah. Okay. So you got the over, and you're giving the Giants 16. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll take the Ravens, but it scares me.
Mr. Scott.
Boy. And where is this game?
In New York, and they're playing at the Giants.
There could be some weather issues. There could easily be some weather issues. I have to take the 16 and a half. I mean,
No,
obviously,
it's 16, not 16 and a half, 16.
Yeah,
yeah,
the half is on the 43.
yeah, okay. Well, I'll take the 16 and I'll take it under.
Under 42 and a half. Okay.
No, well, I thought you said 43 and a half.
42 and a half.
Oh, sorry, 42.
The next one is 43 and a half.
Oh, 42. Wow. I'll still stick with the under a game. I don't like it.
I don't like this game either, and the Ravens have only scored 35 points in their last two outings. I am going to take the under, but I'm going to give the points. Okay. The next one, let's see. The Washington Commanders are playing the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are actually getting 7.5 at home. And Mr. Scott, you called it. The over-under is 43.5.
Oh boy, I'll take the over.
And who do you like, the Commanders or the Saints?
And I'll take the Commanders. I mean, they can be scary. I mean, for anybody that they play, in the playoffs, if they get that, I mean, they can. I think they can be scary. I really do.
Yeah, I kind of like Scary Terry myself, and the young quarterback. I'm going to take the Commanders also, but I'm going to take the under. Bill, did I get you with that one?
Nope, but I will take the Commanders, even to cover, and I will take the over. So the over and the Commanders.
Bill, the Chiefs are playing the Clowns in Cleveland, and the over-under is 44. No hook, 44.
Okay, in Cleveland. I will take.
Cleveland's getting 4 points.
Cleveland's getting 4. Huh. Well, then I will take Cleveland because I think they lose it by 3. And so they'll deny the Chiefs the cover, and I will take the under.
Mr. Scott.
Boy, the Chiefs and they must have the biggest rabbit's foot. I mean, 4-leaf clovers, horseshoes.
I thought that was the Lions, Mr. Scott.
God, I mean, this is. God, I still have to ride with them. I mean, until you can knock out the champion. I mean, and I think the champion has to be knocked flat on his face. I can't, So I'm going to take the Chiefs. And what's the number?
44.
I'll take the over too.
I'm going to take the Chiefs in the over. Mr. Scott, we have the Bungles. They're giving the Titans 5 points, and the over-under is 46.5.
Boy, the Titans still seem like they still want to play. I think they're still playing for their jobs. They're still. I'll take the points. I'll take them, and I'll take the under.
Well, I'm going to give the points, and I'm going to take the over. Bill.
Yeah, I too will take the Bengals in the over. I think the Bengals are like the 49ers in that they're going to play really hard, even though they don't really have much to play or maybe anything to play for. I think that they're trying to set themselves up for next year. And I think they're going to see a lot of players who, some of whom may be playing for someone else next year also, but they still want to put a lot of good stuff on tape. So yeah, I think the Bengals play really good football to finish out the season.
Okay. Bill, the Dolphins are playing the Texans. The Dolphins are getting 3 points. They're playing at the Texans, and the over-under is 47.
I will take the over, just barely. I think it gets to 48 points. And how many points are the Dolphins getting again?
3.
That's about right. I think that's about right. Ugh. I'll take the Dolphins.
I'm going to
I think-
take the. Go ahead,
The
Bill.
Texans win, but by less than 3. Yeah, good. Yeah, good.
I'm going to take the Texans, and I'm going to also take the over. Neither defenses have been impressing me with stopping anyone. So, Mr. Scott, who you got here?
Boy, Houston was one of my go-to teams at the beginning. I mean, and they just kind of just been really middling. And boy, this looks like such an even Steven matchup that it's oh man, Tua and their offenses look like now that he's back. Boy, does Houston really want it? I just don't see them really. I liked them early on, but I'm going to take Miami and I'll take the over.
Okay. Mr. Scott, the Jets, the not yets, are giving the Jaguars 3 points. They're playing at the Jaguars, and the over-under is 40.5.
Yeah, well, that game's just off the board. I refuse to say anything about that. I withdraw on that one. Yeah.
What do you got, Bill?
I think the Jets win this game, actually. Watch for some garbage time, fantastic play from one Aaron Charles Rodgers. Now that officially, there's nothing to be gained or lost, watch for him to look like his old self again, almost by magic, right? Now that there's nothing to be gained, the pressure's gone. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 370.
I'm not quite as enthusiastic as you are, Bill, but I'm going to take the Jets and I'm going to take the over. I think they get to 41 very easily.
Yep.
Bill, the Dallas Cowgirls against the Panthers. The Panthers have been really playing some good football these last couple of weeks. The Cowboys are giving the Panthers 3, even though the Panthers are at home, and the over-under, Bill, is 43. No hook.
Okay. Yeah, give me the Panthers and give me the over. I think that reality is hitting Dallas hard in a place where they don't like to get hit. And as you mentioned, the Panthers are trending upward. Watch for their run game to be effective, and that'll take away some of the sting out of that pass rush. The loss of Demarion Obershawn is really going to take away their ability to cover tight ends and slot receivers. He was one of those rare linebackers who could come downhill and be very effective as a run stuffer, and then also turn and flip his hips and run with almost any running back or tight ends you can name, and even some slot receivers. Also, one last thing. If you own Adam Thielen, throw him in your flex. He's about to have, I'm going to say, about 107 yards receiving and a touchdown.
I know that sounds good to Mr. Scott. He's a Thielen man.
Yeah,
but
yeah. We're alumni. We're both alumni. Same school.
Yeah, well, he actually, you know this, but he actually went on a $500 partial basketball scholarship and walked on to the football team.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to take the Panthers, and not sure about that Panthers defense, but I'm going to take the Panthers, and I'm going to take the over. What do you say, Mr. Scott?
Yeah, I'm going to go that way too. I take the Panthers in the over.
All right. The next game, of course, is one of Mr. Scott's favorites. The Steelers at the Eagles. The Steelers are getting 5.5, and the over/under is 42.5. I'm going to take the Steelers with the points, but I'm going to take the over. Mr. Scott?
Well, I'm going to take the Eagles. We've said, difficult place, difficult. And I'm going to take the over.
Okay. Okay. Bill?
5.5. If the number had been 4, I would definitely have taken the Eagles. 5.5 is a lot to ask. Now that I know the number is 5.5, I'm taking the Steelers. And I too will take the over.
Bill, the Indianapolis Colts are getting 4. They're playing at the Broncos, and the over/under is 44 again.
I like the Broncos to cover, but I'll take the under. I think the Colts' red zone struggles will result in them kicking a lot of field goals. Maybe they'll get, I'm going to say 16 points. And then you said the over/under was what?
44.
So 16, 28, that gets you to 44. So let's say 16 to 27 gets you to 43. So, yeah, I'll take the Broncos and the under.
Mr. Scott?
Yeah, I'll take Denver. What was the number on that one again?
44.
Yeah, I'll take Denver and the over.
I will take Denver in the over also. Mr. Scott, the Buffalo Bills, they're getting 2.5, playing the Lions. And here's a number for you, Mr. Scott. The over/under is 54.5.
Oh,
boy.
A 2.5 point spread, but a 54.5 over/under.
54.5. Boy. And it's in Detroit.
It's in Detroit, in the dome. No weather.
Boy. Well, I've got to take the over because one coach is just going to go for it every down. He doesn't even care. 4th down, zone 20, he'll go for it. And I'll take Buffalo.
Okay. I'm going to take, if it had been 3, I might have went the other way, but 2.5, I'm going to take Detroit, and I'm following that over with you, Mr. Scott. Bill?
I too will take Detroit, and I'll take the over.
Bill, the Patriots are getting 6. They're playing at the Cardinals, and the over/under is 46.
I will take the Cardinals, and I will take the. And I'll take the over.
Okay. I'm going to take the Cardinals and the over also. Mr. Scott?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Cardinals. The little man almost got us. And I'm gonna take the over. I mean, he's dangerous. Very dangerous. The little man almost, he was just had me on needles and pins for a while.
Okay. Mr. Scott, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are getting 2.5 points. They're playing at the Chargers, and the over-under is 45.5.
I'm going to take Tampa Bay and the over.
I'm going to take the Chargers and the over. Bill.
I will take the Chargers and the over.
Bill, the Sunday night game, Packers giving the Seattle Seahawks 2.5, and the over-under is 45.5.
But they're playing in Green Bay, right? No, they're playing in
No, they're playing in Seattle.
Seattle. Okay, well
And
then,
Green
yeah,
Bay is giving Seattle 2.5 points.
right. So Seattle's getting 2.5 at home.
Seattle's getting 2.5 at home, and the over-under is 45.5.
Wow.
That's crazy. This feels like giving money away, but yes, I will take Seattle's. And you said that 45.5 is 45 with the hook.
45.5.
Yeah, 45 with the hook. Okay. I'll take the over, and I'll take Seattle.
This is one that kind of has me leery. Mr. Scott talking about weather. Bo just said that the rain is returning to Seattle. So I'm going to take Seattle and the under. Mr. Scott.
Yeah, I'm going to take Seattle, but I'm still going to take the over.
Okay. And Mr. Scott, we have 2 games Monday night. The first one is, of course, your Vikings giving the Chicago Bears 6.5, and the over-under is 43.5.
These division things can be a little bit interesting. And well, this game is here though.
This game is in Minnesota.
Yeah, this game is here in the Dome. So yeah, I'll take the Vikings and the over. I think Jefferson really wants to keep making some noise. I think he's been upset about being quiet, being a decoy. I don't think I think he's, wants to stop that foolishness and start really, I'm taking the Vikings in the over. Even though Addison's been a good right-hand man. Boy, he's been like almost like the Moss, Jake Reed, Carter, So
it's amazing that you say that, because Addison was available in a few leagues, and I actually picked him up in fantasy football, and he got 3 goddamn touchdowns.
Yeah, man, all right, man, is hot. Yeah,
yes, he is. So I'm taking Minnesota here, and I'm also taking the over, because I don't trust either defense. What are you doing here, Bill?
I will take Minnesota in the over as well.
Okay, and the other
one defense gets a score. I think maybe the Vikings defense gets a score of its own.
Okay, and the other Monday night game is the Falcons giving the Raiders 4. The game is at the Raiders, and the over-under is 44. Bill?
I will take the over, and I will take the Falcons to cover that 4.5.
Mr. Scott?
Yeah, I'll follow that cab. Well, I don't think the Raiders are going to do much. So Atlanta on the over.
I don't know whether to, I'm like you, Mr. Scott. I don't know whether to trust the banker. He hasn't looked that good lately.
No.
And, but then again, you got this young rookie with the Raiders, Bowers, that's red hot. I'm going to take the Raiders, and I'm going to take the under.
Even if Desmond Ridder's starting the game, James, you're taking him.
I'm like Mr. Scott. I'm looking for Kurt now to throw me a couple interceptions and maybe a pick six. The Vikings defense, the Falcons defense hasn't shown me that they can stop anybody. So, between Bowers and maybe, we can get a decent game out of our wide receiver. This could be an upset. Once the Falcons start sliding downhill, and the Tampa Bay they're already looking up at Tampa Bay. I just think that the slide continues.
It's very interesting, the banker, because he never really turned the ball over. I mean, he would always throw the ball away. He never really got sacked. He never really, and now he's just turning the ball over. He's throwing interceptions, which he never did. I think he's close to maybe even feigning an injury and let the other guy come in and play. And then try to go somewhere else and rob somebody else, rob another team. I think it's very close to that happening. I really do. I think it's very close. He's going to start feigning an injury. And
well, the Desmond Ritter revenge game, I guess, might be the place where you might want to wait for
all right, Bill, give us your final thoughts for the evening, my man.
My final thoughts are regarding, college football playoffs and my Army Black Knights. Now, there was a passionate statement given by the commissioner of their conference. And while I heard and understood everything he said, I also know how college football works, and to some extent even how America works, and knew that that would fall on deaf ears. But despite that, I am very proud of what Army has done and what Jeff Monken has done. And Jeff Monken, of course, is a name that is being, and frankly should be being, bandied about for some of the bigger jobs available. Now, so it's like Belichick's landing in Carolina, but there are some other jobs still available. And if you are a team on the rise, UNLV just lost Barry Odom. You look at what Jeff Monken did at one of the most difficult places to recruit and win in America. Because, obviously there's a military commitment attached. You're not just there to quote Cardell Jones, to play football or to play school, right? That's what he said. You're not there to play school. You are there to play school, obviously, but you're more than just do that. You're there to be developed as a person and as a leader to eventually serve this great country. Now, I don't want to see Jeff Monken leave the shores of the Hudson. I would love for him to coach the rest of his coaching career there, but it is unrealistic to expect that. He is a very, very, very highly respected coach who really understands how to put together and motivate young men. And like I said, if I'm UNLV, I'm definitely on the phone. If I'm any of the places that are in need of a high quality football coach, Marshall, their job opened up when Charles Huff went over to Southern Mississippi. Monken, I know, has connections to some of those programs in that part of the country as well. But what it comes down to, once again, for me, is that this has been a magical year for Army. Records have been set for the Black Knights of the Hudson in terms of wins. Obviously, in the days of Doc Blanchard and Glenn Davis, they didn't play as many games, so a bit skewed. But still, this is a great year, and we're going to woodshed Navy. So records will be set, and then there's going to be a bowl game after that. But if Jeff Monken leaves, one is he can do it with his head held high, because he will have left the program in much better situation than when he found it. But if he stays, and God, I hope he does, look for Army to continue to be a problem for years to come for those who face the Black Knights of the Hudson. It is with great pleasure I say, go Army, beat Navy.
Mr. Scott.
Just briefly, this week I saw that Dave Parker and Dick Allen made it into the Hall of Fame.
Finally.
And, you talk about well overdue. I tell you, and they're not the only ones. I know we've talked about that, but I'm just wondering how Mr. Parker is doing. I thought an interview, and it seemed like his health really wasn't that good. I mean, I don't know if anybody else had a chance to see that when they talked to him about it, but he did not look good at all. And so it was good to see, them get in and get their flowers. I know Dick Allen, he's passed away. And, his career was so interesting because he got traded. And I mean, it wasn't performance wise. It just he got tired of putting up with the bullshit with different teams and stuff.
Right.
So they just said, "Well, you just go somewhere else," And then they made him play positions that he never played before. They threw him on third base. He had never played third base ever in his life,
Yep.
and he makes the All-Star team. I mean, so. But that whole era, is me coming up, and James, when we were coming up, when just from the era where you couldn't play baseball, I said you wasn't good enough, and all the Negro leagues, and looking at all the minors here in Minneapolis with Roy Campanella and Willie Mays and Orlando Cepeda, because this was a Giants type of a farm club, and then St. Paul had the Dodgers. And to say that these guys couldn't play, I mean, what a farce. And so to see these guys get in, it's just, I don't know. It's a good thing. I just wish Dick Allen could have been alive because he deserved to get in a long time ago.
We had two teams in Pittsburgh that were better than the Pirates.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So hey guys, good chopping it up with you guys. Miss Dave and Don, both of them are under the weather. As we know, Don ended up having pneumonia. Hopefully, Dave it will fare much better. But I sent Don a card from the guys here at the Sports Krib. Letting him know that we were thinking about him, and as I said, hopefully we'll be able to get these guys back next week. I don't know, maybe Demetrius figures that how sports guys are superstitious. They've been on a roll since the last time he's been here, so maybe Demetrius won't talk to us until after the Super Bowl. But
yeah, he has rest. He can't really, he has to have rest, So, I mean, that's okay. Hopefully he'll have to show his face at some point. I mean, come on, he'll have to, Joe Louis said it, you can run, but you can't hide. So,
All right, guys. Talk to everybody next week. Fun talking to you. The best I can say is go Steelers. Hey, have a good weekend, everybody.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Yeah. Mr.